Hey guys, it's
Wow.
Carlos with with Coco, and it's Friday.
That was so extremely awkward. I was
I know
pretending
you
like
guys.
it wasn't.
Coco's like, wow. I hope you guys had an awesome week. This week for me, it's been trials and tribulations, which we'll get in talking about. But Coco, how has your week been?
My week's been shitty, but
We
life.
both had shitty weeks. That's not
Yeah,
good. That's
not
not
good at
good. Well,
all.
why was your week shitty?
I don't know. Just my mind's kicking my ass lately, so I've been trying to redirect my focus, and I've been doing a whole bunch of random shit just to stay distracted. Seems to be
Hmm.
working right now. We'll see. We'll see if it helps. But yeah, it's just been a shitty up and down roller coaster this week. But we're climbing out of it, and we'll be fine. We'll be fine on Monday. Monday is my day. I'm saying I'm speaking it into fruition. So
Monday is my day.
yes, it sounds
So
like a
my week has
spiritual. What about you?
Monday is my day.
So stupid. How was your
No,
week?
my week was actually really good. I'm starting to finally get my bills caught up.
Good.
Um, like my car payments, like when I made my car payment today and they said it is current, I was like, yes, thank you, Jesus. Everything's caught up, so I'm like finally like a be able, like you know how when you're behind, and like I'm really not ever behind on bills, but we got like 2 months behind, so like
Yeah.
because of the funeral and everything. So I really felt like I was underwater the whole time. And I don't like feeling like I don't like owing people money. I don't like the calls. I don't
Mhm.
like I don't like
No, that
any of
makes
it. So
sense.
I got all of it caught up today. Um, and the if you guys have been following, I haven't really been speaking about the court case just because I've been trying to just focus on other things. But reality does slap you in your face when you have to do it. So I'm gonna give you guys like a quick little update because I know a lot of people are just like, "What's going on?" Um, if you don't know what happened, go back on our previous shows. You'll find it somewhere. I'm talking about it, or you can go on my channel. But pretty in the long story short, I had a court yesterday to see if they would drop the charges that were against me. I have a question, Coco. Do you believe, as a U.S. citizen, that police tell the truth all the time?
No, absolutely not.
Like you said, it's so confident. Like
Yeah, no.
yesterday in the courtroom, the police officers were being interviewed on the stand, and honestly, it just the things that they were saying, like they were saying how I let them know that I believe in my Second Amendment rights, and that if I get anybody harassing me at my door, I would just use my gun to defend my family. And my attorney looked at him and he goes, "Is there anything in that sentence that's illegal?" And the officer goes, "Well, you shouldn't say that to an officer." And my attorney is like, regardless of who you are, he's still an American citizen and he can say what he wants, especially if he does have his legal gun. So to me, it kind of felt like the officers felt like they have like they're like a god, or like they're like a
Mhm.
little bit above, like they're
Holier than
above us.
thou.
Yeah, like
Always.
it really made me feel like, and then he, but I love my attorney because my attorney was really going in on it. He was like, so from your training of what, 2 years, would you say? So from your 2 year training, it validates you to be to assume things. But
Mm.
to go on, so to go into the long story short, what he did was the one quote that the officer said on the stand was he was in fear for his life because he thought that I had a gun, and it ended up being a cell phone. When will that stop?
Right? When will
When
that
when
excuse
when
stop? That's ridiculous.
like you would think, especially after what just happened in Sacramento, like that wouldn't even be a legitimate excuse. But then
Exactly.
he already knows that I do constitutionally have my Second Amendment right to carry a gun, especially in my home
Mhm.
with the CPL. So even if I was answering my door with a gun, it still would be legal. There's still nothing wrong with that. And when my attorney said that, he goes, "Well, normal people don't do that." So I'm just really interested to know what's normal. Like, if a white man carries a gun, why is it always normal for him? But when a black man does it, it's always not normal. And
Mhm.
that's what really, that's like, he goes, normal people don't carry guns. And my attorney goes, "Sir, you have a gun on your hip right now in court. well, I'm a police officer. And it's just like,
Oh my God.
so?
So, right?
I just feel like, have you ever had any experiences where like I really distrust the police because I feel like they have too much power. Like I don't even feel like it. I know after seeing what happened yesterday in court, they have too much power. Coco, do you think the police hold too much power in our country?
Um, yes. And I know people are gonna be like, it's the white police, but I honestly think it's just police, law
It's
enforcement in
no, it's
general.
not. It's the law. It's not even just
Mhm.
white officers. It's just the law has two. There. Did you know that they said that you're familiar with stop and frisk, correct?
Yes, of course.
So yesterday, the reason my case got dropped, or not dropped, the reason it didn't get dropped is because the judge saw probable cause for them to stop and frisk me in my house without a warrant.
Yeah, that's
Where
fucking crazy.
where does it end?
Right?
Because
Like they just
they
be
said he goes
rewriting laws right on the spot. Like, what the
literally,
fuck?
well, the way they justified it, they go, well, we saw him and we yelled at him to stop when he got out of his car and he just walked into his house. That made him suspicious, so that gave us probable cause to go into his house and do a stop and frisk in his house. I was like, no, no. And well, and yesterday wasn't trial. Yesterday was just a deposition, or not a deposition, but it was a motion to dismiss. So
Gotcha.
we didn't really delve into everything. But at trial, we really will delve into everything. And just the police report, they clearly lied several times, and my attorney caught them on police reports. But did you know that those reports are like public, like those are record, like they
Yeah,
don't
public
care? I
record,
even asked
public
my attorney.
access.
I
Yep.
Yeah, and I asked my attorney, I go, well, what if they made a mistake, or what if they just blatantly lie? He goes, well, that's the only thing the courts have to go by, so they always take their word. So how do you prove an officer is lying if they're always expected to tell the truth?
You can't. It's really us against them, and that's just the way it's gonna be forever. Like, there's nothing you do about it.
Like literal, and I think that's why officers don't have like the vest. I believe in dash cams and vest cams. I believe that every officer, not only for their safety but for the safety of citizens, should have the
I
cameras on
think
their
regular
vest because
citizens should have dash cams. I know over here,
right.
a lot of fucking people have dash cams. That's why they catch all this crazy shit on camera, like crazy, like car crashes or things on camera. That's how we get that footage. A lot of people over here have invested in dash cams. Like I
Just
actually, when
can't.
I started doing Uber, I wanted to get one. Those double-sided ones where it shows you the front and the back.
Oh, the front and the back. Yeah, so you can kind of like
Yes.
that's dope. That is super dope.
Yes. I
Speaking
do
of Uber,
suggest everybody do that.
I just got approved for Postmates today, so I'm gonna go on my first Postmates run tonight. I'm kind of excited.
Ooh, look at
I don't know
you.
why I don't know why I'm excited to like go deliver food, but I'm just like, oh, it'll get me out of the house, and it's actually
Exactly.
making money, you know.
It's
um,
something.
but no, it's something to get me out of the house, get my mind off this stupid ass case, guys. Like
Yeah.
you've been following for the last what 4 months now. Not
Yeah.
only is it like my financially, my family's been struggling, but we making it.
Mhm.
We're steadily making it. I went to a funeral by myself without my husband. Like that was very hard for me to do. And then like now I have to go to this trial, and I
Mhm.
feel like if I don't go to the trial, I have a plea offer on the table, but I feel like if I take the plea offer, I'm one. I'm not being my true self, and
Yeah.
I am, and I. It's like, how far is your character go? Like,
Your true
what are you
self is
willing
to
to
fight.
exactly? And then two, what about I just think of especially when that guy said, "Oh, I thought he had a cell phone." I thought about the young man in Sacramento, and I was
Mhm.
just like, "Damn, if he had the option even to have his life, so he could go to court, there is no way he's rolling over and letting them force them into a plea."
Exactly.
I said, "I'm just gonna have to do this not only for myself, but every other person that hasn't been had the voice to do it."
Mhm.
So that really was one of my first questions. Is like, how much, and I get a lot of comments on my YouTube videos too when I talk about police brutality, and
Mhm.
people are like, "Well, you should just get on your knees and obey the law." I'm like, but that's literally not what America's built on. Because you like not go to history school, like we are built on asking questions and
Yeah.
demanding freedom and being like, why is it this way? Like that's literally why our country was built, to ask why. Why is it that way? That's not. I don't know if it should be that way.
Mhm.
So I want to transition over since we discovered that none of us trust police.
Nope.
Nobody does.
You know what?
Um,
Actually, real quick, can I tell a really quick story?
yeah, go
My
ahead, go ahead.
faith was restored in police officers from the very last Uber run I've made. I made months ago because I haven't done it since then. But I was having a really good night. Like a couple days before that, I had my worst night ever with like these dickhead people in my car the whole day. But anyway, so my very last Uber one that I did, my last ride of the night was this. I got a call for the mall. It was around Christmas time. So I got a call for the mall, and somebody needed to pick up. It was like around 10:30, yada yada yada. I thought it was probably like a kid getting out of like fucking Applebee's or something after the mall closed or whatever. So I rolled
Yeah.
up, and I waited for a couple minutes. It was the first time I had to wait on somebody. It was had to be maybe like 4 or so minutes. So I was sitting there, and then before I knew it, there was a guy. I thought it was somebody else that I saw in the distance was coming, this young kid, but it wasn't him. Before I knew it, someone was tapping on my back door. I open the back door and I don't see a human. The first thing I see is one of those fucking sheriff hats being placed on my back seat. I was like, well, this is freaking cool. Am I driving a cop? It's not a cop. It's a security guard. This has to be a security guard. So he gets in the car and he was just talking about how he finished his shift. He's a security guard at the mall. He didn't tell me he was a cop at first. He was like a security guard, does some work on the weekends during the holidays because they're short staffed. Then as we started talking, he said he was a cop for Woodbridge Township, which is a township in New Jersey. And he was talking about like, yeah, I was telling him, I was like, I have to say, I feel pretty like humbled to be driving a cop home. And I'm sitting here like watching everything I do. I had to joke with him because it literally made me nervous, like driving a cop to his house. Like I was like, I don't even know how to fucking act right now. So, but he was
He's
just
gonna pull
mad
you over
chill.
while you in the car.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know how they operate. I don't know how they operate. So I was just like, I was stressing. So he was mad chill though. Like I remember I missed my turn. He's like, listen, I'm easy. I don't even. Some people stress about things, but you're human. You guys are humans. You guys are just making your money like I make my money. He was just talking about like, how he hates his fellow cops that he works with sometimes, that they're super unethical and all this stuff. He was just kind of just having like a wonderful conversation. It was so calming, and his disposition was just so like disarming, and I didn't feel like
Yeah.
I had a cop in my car anymore. He just was talking, and
Just
to
like a
this
normal
day.
person.
Exactly. To this day, I still every time because his house is actually right down the street from my husband's job. So every morning I pass his house, and every time I pass his house, I look at it because it was just such a pleasant experience, and like it was just cool as fuck for some reason. I have no idea why. That whole encounter. So I don't believe that every cop is bad. I just know there's a ton of bad seeds in
Exactly.
the
And you know
realm of
what's so
everything.
funny though? When I was growing up, like a lot of people think, and that was another thing. The officer was
Mhm.
like, "Well, Carlos, you just seem to have a hatred for police," and I was like, "Actually, I believe in the opposite until I became an adult, or to actually last
Mhm.
until the last 4 years." Cops were the people that saved my life. Like the cops that came into my home and took me out of that dangerous
Mhm.
situation. And like it was officers that did that. And it was officers that protected me every time I was getting bait or like beaten or like something happened to me in a foster home. It was cops that responded and that would take me back to another foster home. So cops have played a huge, and policemen have played a huge inspiration in my life, and just
Mhm.
like, and saving me and being the savior, because they have literally saved me as a child. But from the age of 21 up, as a black man, have never called the police to be saved.
Mhm.
So I can't really relate to it, but I have been just stopped over and over and over, and detained
Mhm.
and detained and detained and stopped and frisked, and like, so you start to really question, because in my heart of hearts I know all cops aren't like that, just like
Mhm.
all black people aren't racist, just like all black people aren't ignorant or ghetto.
Right.
Like I understand that, but when it keeps happening to you, you have like you put up this wall just to
Mhm.
protect
It's an
yourself.
expectation. You're expecting them to
Yeah,
be
yeah, and I really feel
negative to
like
you.
I think our whole fucking country needs to go through PTSD therapy.
Yep. Yep.
Like for real. All right, so something a little bit lighter, but not that light. Do you have a car, right, Coco? You do Uber. You
Yes.
have your car, right?
Yep. I just
So,
got a newer car, so thank the heavens. But yes, I
whoop,
do.
whoop, wait, you don't have the Dodge anymore?
No, I got rid of my baby.
Oh,
I
what kind
got
of
rid
car
of
did you
her in
get?
March. It's so
What kind of car
heartbreaking.
did you get?
I got a Chevy Impala, which I love to death. It drives just like my Charger. Only thing is that they discontinued it this year, so there's not going to be any more of them, which sucks.
Aw,
But
Impalas have been
yeah,
around forever.
I know, right? I know, but the one I have, like I said, it drives like a sports car. It's huge, it's heavy. I love it. It's ice white, which I wanted, so couldn't be happier.
Aw, awesome, awesome. So the reason I bring that up is because has anyone ever asked you to, besides your husband, has anyone ever asked you to co-sign on a vehicle for them?
No, but I know some people who would probably like to ask me that. But no, I haven't had one approach me yet. I guess I'm not that poppin' yet for them to think I got it like that. But no, but I can imagine how it will be and how I will react when that happens. Why do you
So
bring that up?
because I had a family member from Detroit, and I
Mhm.
love this family member. They're great. I'm not going to bring their name out, just
Okay.
in case they do listen to the show. But they were trying to get a new car, and I actually told them to do Uber because I was like, Uber has like this car rental program where you like
Mhm.
pay per day and you can like
Yep.
rent the car. But they didn't want to do that because they didn't want to do actually be an Uber driver. So I was like, okay, that's understandable. But for me, I mean, I always look at way to hustle it myself. So I was like, you could just Uber for a couple nights after your normal job just to pay
Yep.
for the car rent, and then just go to your normal and just use that car for your normal job, you know.
Exactly.
um but then they're like no, and then they're just like, I really need a co-signer. I have the down payment, I have a good job, I have checks coming in every month, and they come in forever. So would you mind co-signing? And I had to say no, and I felt so bad. But I've
Mm.
already been there and done that with
Yep.
with one of Chris's family members, and we don't even talk to them right now. It's like
It's
that
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 bad.
it's that bad. And I was so honest. I was like, I would rather just say no and feel guilty now for saying no than actually hating you in 6 months
Later.
when you do
Exactly.
something, and then that's kind of like. But then that brings me to my point. When you say no, people automatically think that you're saying no because you think that they're going to like screw you over, or they're
No, you're
going
saying
to.
no because you've been through it and you know what it can cause and shit happens. And you're trying to
Yep.
avoid, ruining a relationship. But people are automatically going to take it, take offense to it because, they're like, why not? Why won't he co-sign for me? What's wrong with me?
With me,
Which is a
exactly.
natural
Like I won't.
reaction, you
So yeah,
know?
that's my whole thing. Like, what do you think about that? Like, what do you think about lending credit or lending, or not even necessarily money, because money is money, but like when it's something like writing, co-signing on a house or a lease or anything, do you think that it's okay to just be like, I love you as family, but that's just something I can't do?
Absolutely. I mean, like anyone should be. You should protect your credit like a child.
Yep.
So j- just willy-nilly offering your good credit up for somebody to benefit off of is a gamble. And I just think that's a dangerous game to play because shit happens. Shit can happen to you. So just as easy as shit can happen to the person that's borrowing your good credit, basically. That's technically what they're doing. You're basically saying, hey, if shit goes wrong, I'm responsible. Or even if the
Yep.
terms are not that deep, it's more like if shit goes wrong, now I'm gonna have to morally take care of this because I don't want my shit to get fucked up. So, it just puts you in a bind, and then all you're doing is worrying, and you got to think about. You don't want to check up on the person like they're a child. Hey, did you pay your bill? Did you pay your bill? And then it's so
Exactly.
awkward. I
And then they
still
don't
think it's a
pay it,
good
and then you
idea.
have to like, because before with Chris's family member, we that's what we talked about on divorce court.
I know.
Because we was paying full bills, and then it got to the point where it was just like I would have to pay, and like they knew that I would pay just so I wouldn't have a late payment. And then it got to
Mhm.
the point where we couldn't afford to pay your car payment and our car payment, so I just let it go and just hoped for the best. And you just
Yeah.
just didn't pay for the car at all. I've been there and done that. I can't do it again, and
You've
I
been
hope
jaded. You're like a jilted lover.
but it's not even jaded though. I don't think any responsible adult should, like you said, give their
Yeah.
good credit. Like it's good credit for a reason. It's because you took the time as the adult
And build it.
to and this person's quite like 20 years older than me almost. So like
Oh, yep.
I took the time as a 25-year-old to build my credit to the point where if I walk into a store, I will get approved for a card if I want.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that, and then you're like, oh, well, he has credit. Let me ask him. I'm like, that's not how it works. Like, for me to get to this point, there are certain things I had to do. And you obviously haven't presented those characteristics. Otherwise, you would have credit yourself.
Exactly. So basically, you should be credit screening them for them for you to co-sign them. Like basically be like, why is your credit that bad? Explain yourself,
Mm-hmm.
But no, I really don't think it's
Exactly.
ever a good idea unless you truly it's someone very close to you, like a spouse, of course, or somebody that that one, they will feel morally obligated to not let you down, and two, that that you can trust. But
And two,
I wouldn't do it.
and another thing that I brought up too, I was like, honestly, I've never had anyone. I mean, Chris and I co-signed on. Ooh, you okay, buddy?
Oh.
He has he caught kennel cough from the park.
Oh no. Poor
So I'm trying to.
baby.
Oh, we'll talk about that's my third segment, so I don't want to get too much. But no, I wanted to. Hey, Oliver, go lay down. I wanted to. What was that? He got me. Sorry, like when my dogs, there's something wrong with them, I freak out and I'm like,
Me
oh my
too.
god, what's wrong with my baby?
Me too.
And I totally lost my support or my thought of. Oh, okay, I know what I was saying. I was telling her, I was like, when I had first got my first car, and she's never had a noted car before. That was also a thing. It's like they've never had car notes before. They've always
Got
just
it.
bought in cash cars. So I'm like, so you don't understand, like this car,
This
like
is a
that's 4
commitment.
years. Yeah, that's at least a 4 year commitment. You can't lose your job. You can't do anything different. Like if anything goes wrong, your car payment has to get paid. And they were reassuring me that like, oh, that will happen, that will happen. But I know shit happens sometimes. Like I just boom, but my mom died, and then I fucking had to deal with this court shit. I didn't expect to fall 2 months behind on my car payment, but I did. But I just ended up getting it caught up. But if I was co-signing with someone, that person's now, it's affecting their credit. It drops your credit. No matter if you intend to get it up or not, or pay it off within the next couple of days, it drops your credit because you were more than
Yeah.
20 to 30 days late on your payment. So, and it's just things that people don't know. And then the more I was talking to them, you could just to see that they didn't know like how credit worked. Like they were saying something like, oh, well, you can just co-sign now, and then in 6 months when my credit's good enough, I can just take you off the lease or take you off the car loan. And I was like, that's not how that works. And then I know car dealers say this just so they can convince people to co-sign with them, and then that second person's trapped. Which, if you're a car dealer, stop being fucking shady and tell the people the truth.
Yep.
Stop being shady and tell people the fucking truth. Because you cannot do that. You can't simply just take your name off a fucking lease or of a
That's not
car
how this
payment.
goes.
No, it's called a loan transfer, and that person would have to go get refinanced for the amount of the car loan by the. So let's say the rest of the car loan is 17,000. That person would have to go get a finance for that car loan and then buy it out from your dealership.
Yep.
So then
We
that
could have a
person's name
whole
gets.
segment on the snakeosity of fucking car dealerships one day.
Because it is a lot of snake shit. And then she was just like, well, they're charging me tax. I was like, no, your tax tag and title should be included into your car
Yep.
loan. Like it's just things like that where people don't. And she's like, well, I've never bought a car before. And I was like, and that's also kind of like, are you ready for a new car? Why don't you just? And I gave a suggestion. I said, because you guys know me, I'm not just going to say no without giving actually some
Yeah.
help. So I gave the idea of Uber. Didn't want to do that. I gave the idea of maybe just trading in your current car now, because you're only going to get maybe 1,000, 2,000 from it. Trade it in and maybe get like a cash car. That's better. Like that'll just get you to point A to point B to point C for maybe a year or
Exactly.
two. And it might not be the best. Like you want a 2014, 2013. Maybe you got to start off with a 99.
That's what
And then.
I did. I started off with a 1998 Pontiac Grand Am. Okay.
But no, for real. My first car was a '99 Chevrolet or no Chrysler Concorde. You know what the Concorde, that big ass
Yep.
boat.
Yep.
I had a. I love my boat. I love my boat because that boat got me. That boat, I was cash. I owned it. Like I didn't have to pay nobody.
Mhm.
And now, but I also think that goes back to people who don't. And that's what credit is. Credit is
Exactly.
like literally like I just tickle myself
You
because I was
just
going to say
broke it
people just
down, basically.
no, because people just see you in the car, like they see me in my Benz now, like, oh, I'm gonna get a nice car too. No, it took
That's
several
not how it
different
works.
cars to pay those cars off. It took several different and then trade that car for that car, pay this
Yep.
car off for a little bit, trade that car for that car, then pay
Yep.
this car off, and then don't have a car off and save a down payment for like I paid almost $4,000 for a down payment for that car. So
Mhm.
on top of having my APR is not that great, so but when you talk like that, people get confused, and I think that
Yep.
that's one thing as millennials, like we done fucked up. We really
Because
like you.
we haven't had it broken down to us. We have to live it. And a lot of people, even our age, haven't even lived it or thought about, hey, how do I build my credit yet? So when they get to that point where they're like, I want something nice, they don't realize they now have to delve in all the work to get it to the level
Yep,
where they can get what they
yep,
want.
yep. And I think I call it it's an unsatisfactory journey because
Mhm.
getting your credit in order is unsatisfactory. I mean, you got to watch out with what you do. You can't apply for anything. It's very strategic. It's like I look at my credit. I'm going to do a little. I guess we're sponsored by Credit Karma. You can get your credit score checked for free.
Mhm.
It's 100% free,
Unofficial
guys. Like
sponsor.
unofficial sponsor, Credit Karma. If you guys need a podcast, let me know. But Credit Karma, I've used Credit Karma for 4 years now, and really, it shows you like what's
Yep.
behind, what you can get on track, like what credit
Exactly.
cards you should apply for, when you should apply for credit cards. Like for example, Chris and I just Chris has some incidents that's kind of on the tail end of his family member kind of using his credit too, and he maxed out a couple cards, and the cards got shut down. So
Mhm.
what I did was instead of applying for new cards, so they're like, oh, we'll just give you new cards and we'll transfer the limits. I said, no, we don't need no new cards. Shut down the accounts completely. And then for the last, I think 9 months, he's just been paying his $50
Minimum.
each
Yeah.
card. I think his minimum was like 25. So that's another rule. Always double your minimum. So
Double
if your minimum is
exactly.
$25, just pay 50.
Yep.
Save yourself because you're going to end up saving a lot of money on APR and interest later. So he's been paying it off. So now we're at like $100 on one card, $200 on the next card. So now
Perfect.
I'm putting it into our finances. Like, okay, so in 2 months we're going to have you apply for 2 more credit cards,
Mhm.
because also his score is dropping because he has no credit utilization. He hasn't been using
Exactly.
any credit. So you do need to use at least 30% of your credit at something so they can just
Guys,
have
that is
have
so
a track
true.
record.
I'm telling you guys, if you have debts that you've accrued because, shit happens, it happened to me. I paid off all my debts at once and had zero credit, zero payments, zero everything. My
It's
credit score
almost worse
dropped
than being
30 points.
Yep.
So
It's
please,
almost worse than being bad credit
exactly.
because at least like you were making payments on something. This
Yep,
just looks like you're not doing anything.
exactly.
So that's when people say no credit is better than or bad credit is better than no credit. Kinda because you've already established something.
Mhm.
But bad you don't want any negative stuff on there as or any
Exactly.
bills or anything. So but no, it just gets so much deeper. So if you guys are out there and you're listening and you're thinking about asking somebody to borrow their credit, please do not get offended or get upset when they say no, because like I just briefly went over it, those are the things it takes to keep your credit in check.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I think, Coco, we've said this before in the show, that's the only thing that can save you. Like right now, if I really needed to, I could probably apply for and get maybe a good $20,000 loan,
There you
maybe
go. Yep.
maybe but I would never do that because I don't need it right now. But if it was, I would never be homeless. That's what I'm getting at. Like I
Exactly. Yep.
won't. I would always get approved for the apartment. I will all, and that's very important because that's how people end up homeless, just because they don't pay that cell phone bill or they don't pay that
Mhm.
medical bill or they just don't keep on track of it. So third topic, kinda. I don't know how to transition, so I'm just gonna go into the
Just go
topic.
into
So I was.
it. It's fine.
I usually have good transitions. I was like, so talking about bills, have you ever had a
You do.
vet bill
You
before?
usually do. You get a pass.
um, so great. Like I said before, Grayson, my dog Grayson, he's been running with me, and I think he picked up kennel cough at
Aw.
our running park because they have like dog bowls, and I knew not to let him drink. But one day last week, it was like 90 degrees, and
So
we
you
had
had
run
no
like six
choice.
miles. Yeah, he's a 90-pound dog, and we just ran 6 miles. I was like, you know what, here, just drink that water. And about
Aw.
3 days later, he starts coughing, and it's you can hear it's like not like if it sounds like something stuck in the back of their throat, and they're trying to like cough it up. And I did
Poor
like the whole stick your hand
baby.
stick your hand down their throat and try to see if there's something stuck. Because sometimes they get like bones or cloth or whatever they've been eating, because he eats fucking everything.
Yep.
They'll get it stuck
So
in their
mine.
throat. So, right? But he didn't have anything. And I started researching. I was like, okay, so my dog's had a cough for 3 days. What could it be? And he was running a little bit of a temperature, and it just kept coming up as, there's a scientific name for it, but it's pretty much kennel cough. And then they said the way to figure out is if your other animals get sick. But my Chihuahua hadn't been sick, so I was like, no, they literally, they're with each other every day. The next day, Oliver starts coughing, so I was like, oh shit.
No.
I'm very anti vet. I don't know if we talked about this before on the show.
Yep.
But I'm anti-vaccination. I'm anti-veterinarian. I think they're just glorified drug dealers who just keep your animals hooked. And I have that same idea with human doctors, but with certain things, I have a homeogenic or homeopathic doctor, and she looks at everything. She looks at your diet, your food, your water intake, your vitamin intake, how much sunlight you're getting. She'll look at all of that before, and then she'll prescribe you like 2 weeks of no meter, 2 weeks of taking this tincture, and to see if that works. And if that doesn't adjust it, then she'll like, okay, well, maybe you need antibiotics, or maybe you need some pharmaceutical medicines. But they do everything in their power to use all natural remedies as possible, and I love that. So I try to do the same thing for my dogs. I got great Oliver he was a rescue, so he had already been neutered, and he had already had like his boosters and everything that those dogs from the shelter have. But when we started his raw life, like we got his last booster when he was like 6 months, and I was like, no more boosters. Like I did more research, especially with smaller dogs. People were saying when they didn't get the booster shots, every year their dog had like a longer lifespan, and they were less sick. And when they did get sick, it was faster. They got over it faster. So the reason I bring this up is because I want to know what people think about, and you guys be sure to leave a comment, or if you're listening, just like leave a comment anywhere. But what do you guys think about natural remedies for humans or dogs? Like, do you think that they work? Do you think people like me are crazy?
No, I'm literally the same way.
My uncle's like, you should take them to the vet. I'm like, really? If they're still coughing in 3.5 weeks, and all of our natural, and like, we're not just letting them be sick, like we're actively giving them ginger and coconut oil tinctures, and like and then we do steam baths. So in the morning they stay in the shower for 20 minutes, or not in the shower, just in the bathroom, and I let them just breathe in the steam to help them coat their throat. And then I've been putting licorice in their food, because licorice also helps mucus grow and helps protect the throat from the cough. So yeah, there's a lot of things you can do for your dog to like treat their symptoms, but necessarily not go and just like boost them full of antibiotics, you know?
Well,
but what do you think, Coco?
Oh, I know. Well, I've never been big on, vets or anything. Even when I have kids, I hate saying this, but I'm gonna try my best to avoid any of those unfucking necessary shots that you're saying to give your kids. Just the main shit that I legally have to get them. That's it. I'm not, I'm gonna be one of those opt-out parents. But anyway, when it comes to my fur baby,
the only thing that you legally have to do for dogs, I think, is the rabies shot. That's the only thing that you legally have to do.
So when it comes to Toby, my fur baby, the last time I took him to the vet, I got him checked out because he was doing reverse sneezing, and I never had a dog that did that, so I was just not sure where it came from or why he kept doing it. So I'm like, what's happening? And I'm like, dude, it's getting worse. So I brought him there. And they said it could be because of dryness, because of allergies, or just because. So they checked him out, a full checkup. They're like, well, he's missing some, he wasn't missing shots, but let's do some blood work. Let's do a stool sample. Let's do that. I'm like, okay, whatever. It was no shots, no nothing. So, and I walked out of there spending like $373 when I just wanted to see basically why he was fucking, it sounded like he was gagging his life away. Honestly, I could have looked this shit up on like, the pet web
online.
And took care of it myself.
What breed is Toby?
He's a Morkie. He's a Maltese and a Yorkie.
Yeah, they have, like, Oliver is a Chug, or he's a Chihuahua and a Pug, and they have he does the reverse sneezing too, because Pugs are really known for their reverse sneezing. Yeah. So Oliver, it seems like they're having like a seizure, and he's like,
yes,
and I was like, oh my god,
so bad. I have
His
to.
eyes
It's to
get
the
all
point,
big.
Carlos. It's oh my god. It's to the point where like his legs are like stretching back and he's trying to like grab onto the earth. And then like sometimes when like we're walking him, since I know that he normally does this, it's okay. But then like if he's get being walked or I'm letting it outside and people are around and he starts doing it, I gotta be like, Toby, are you okay, honey? I have
Yes.
to put out my white voice so I don't
So
look
they don't think you abusing your dog. Oh my gosh. No, that happens. Like, so the last time Grayson went to the pet, so we got Grayson from Vegas. We bought him from a breeder.
Okay.
He had like no shots. It was just he had his balls. He'd never been touched by any other humans
Mhm.
besides myself. And I raised him like I bottle fed him for the first 3 months. Then we like cook his meals every day. So the first time he had to go to the vet was he had, I don't think it was mange, but I don't know. Pit bulls are known for their skin problems. So when he was
Yeah.
like 6 months, he got a skin bacteria infection, and I tried to work with it. Like I first thing is I went to Pet MD. Like,
Yep.
guys, these are my symptoms. What can I do? And we changed his diet up. We added more like eggshell and yogurts and things to help his fur. But then it
Mhm.
wasn't working. Then I went to topicals. So I was using like antibacterial ointment and coconut oil to just soothe his skin, and he was still losing skin like at a rapid rate, or losing
Oh.
hair at a rapid rate. So I was like, fuck it, let's go to the vet. So we go to the vet, and of course, when we get there, they give you like a regular doctor's appointment. They give you like this checklist of stuff of what
Yep.
he has. And I was just like, at this point, he hadn't even had rabies shot because he was only 6 months, and you don't really need to get the rabies shots at around 6 months. That's when you need to get it. Right when it's intend to take them out with other
Yep.
dogs. So I really didn't want him to get it because legally, if you don't go to a vet, you don't really need it. But once you go to a vet, the vet can't legally let you leave without having your dog have the rabies shot. So we got the rabies shot, but then he was like, "Oh, he needs his parvo shot. He needs this. He needs the kennel cough shot was one of them." And I was just like, "He's like, because he'll get kennel cough and then they'll die." And I
Right.
was like, "Well,
Exactly.
damn, this is like like." And then everything was so dramatic, and I was like,
So
"No, rabies shot."
dramatic.
They're like, "Well, your dog drink some water at the park. He'll come home 4 days later. He's dead." I was like,
Oh my
Now
god.
that does happen to some dogs, but I
Mhm.
think that they usually have like, and this is what I'm kind of bringing this up. What underlying causes it those vaccinations actually cause your dog? Because we've already discovered that a lot of vaccination has a high mercury content. It has a lot of
Yep.
the just the antibiotics. I already feed my dogs meat, which if you
Mhm.
don't know, our meat that we eat are so it's not I don't feed them organic meat, and I do that on purpose because I actually want them to get the antibiotics
Yep.
that the cows and the chickens eat, that they're getting fed in the normal factories. Chris and I don't really eat meat. We're more vegetarian, but when we do eat meat, we get it naturally or natural,
Gotcha.
or we get it from
Organic.
like our butcher. Like they really like they're
Yep.
shanking off pieces of meat with a dead cow in the back. Like, so
Yep.
it's real fresh. But the
It's real
dogs,
fresh.
it's real fresh. But the dogs, I let them eat the meat from the store because it does have antibiotics in it. And I've done my research on a lot of antibiotics, and even in humans, if you're constantly eating meat with antibiotics or constantly taking antibiotics, when you really get sick and you need that antibiotic to work, it's not going to work for you. So I try to keep that as far away as possible for my dogs and for ourselves. But a lot of people just really just come down on you hard, like you said, when you have kids.
Mhm.
You know how much shit you're gonna
I'm
get.
gonna be the
Like
crazy one. I know.
your kids are killing kids.
Yep.
You know, I get that a lot at the dog park. Like, your dog hasn't had his parvo shot, so what if he passes the shot on to another dog? I was like, well,
Mhm.
hopefully they've had their parvo shot, and if they haven't, the owner realizes, like me, that's just something that could happen, and we'll deal with it when it happens.
So
You
wait,
know?
I have a question, Carlos. Since we're on
Yeah.
the topic of pets, um, my dog is not neutered, and there's a reason for that. My doggy, he has his little ballies. They're still intact because I want to. I want him to mate. I really do. I don't know how to go about doing it, which is the problem. Because you sound like a crazy person asking everybody, "Hey, you have a dog? Is it a girl? Does she need a boyfriend?" Like it's hard. Like it's really awkward.
So you know what I do? You know what I did? So Grayson, I'm in the same situation. Grayson's 1 year old, and we're trying to breed him this year. So
Mm-hmm.
I did a little photo shoot of him. So we got some really good headshots, some really good shots of him,
Aww.
and I posted a Craigslist post, and
Okay.
I was like, I have a blue nose pit bull stud that look like we're looking to mount, and we'll any and like we'll help with the vet bills for the puppies, and we'll just cut 50-50 costs whatever we get for the puppies.
Mm-hmm. See,
So I think that's what.
I want to keep the puppies.
Oh, I'll keep one. I'm not keeping 6 pit bull puppies. Like fuck that. Fuck that.
Oh man.
I just want one boy puppy. That's it.
There
I
you
do
go.
not need 6 or 7 pit bull puppies. That's asking for death. Hell no. Hell no. But no, you should make Toby a little advertisement on Craigslist.
See, my problem though
Peep.
is Toby is reaching the age where he's aging out of this process soon. So, I mean,
He's aging out.
well, he's 3, he's gonna be 4, and he's not as
But
desirable.
do male dogs actually age out?
Well, basically,
He just
because breeders or people who want to breed their dogs or other dogs, they have been told that they won't produce as healthy puppies if they're older. And it's bullshit, but people believe what they believe. So, me saying, "Hey, I got this sexy ass 4-year-old dog. Do you want to make puppies?" It's kind of hard to sell. Like it's
just
not
lie. How do
PG.
they know how old he really is? He
You're
told me he's one
terrible.
and a half. He 1.5.
I can't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He's
No,
just a
but
puppy.
it's so funny because I even asked my husband's best friend. I said, "Hey, Aaron, you should get a dog." And he's like, "Why?" And I was like, "You got to get a girl dog." He's like, "Why?" I said, "Because I want Toby to have puppies." He goes, "So you want me to get a dog so your dog could fuck my dog?" That was his whole conversation.
But
I
like,
was like,
do you
"Yes."
want the same? Do you want the same breed of dog, or you just
I
don't
just
care
want
what
a little
any
mixed.
dog? You
I
just want
want like a
Toby to
weird
fuck
little
any
mixed
dog?
puppy. Like,
You want a what? A little
like,
mixed pup.
like
You know how
Toby.
dangerous that is to be
Toby is
mixing
a
puppies like
mix.
that.
Toby is a mix. He got that good hair with a little curl on it. Like mix that with like a poodle or some shit. Be popping.
He's a poodle.
Be popping.
See, you're one of the reasons why we have so many breeds of dogs.
I know.
I just want to mix it.
He'll be
No,
a
I don't want to.
morcadoodle. Like I don't know.
I want to breed Grayson. If we were to not breed him with another pit bull, we want to breed him with a husky. And
Oh,
because
that's
I
beautiful.
don't like that, I don't know what they're called, but it's like a pit bull husky mix, and they are gorgeous.
Oh,
They're
that
very
sounds
strong, very
beautiful.
determined dogs.
Oh.
Um, or a Pomsky, which is a Pomeranian mix with a husky.
See,
So it's like either I want the
that's some
huge,
crazy
over
shit.
strong husky mix, or like the super cute Pomsky mix.
Oh, it's so cute. Yeah,
But
I just want little Tobies. That's all. I mean, Toby has
I
like,
can't get no more animals though, because Chris said no.
oh.
My friend just had cats, and I was just like, ooh, but I was like, man, Chris is not gonna be happy when he comes home and sees no
See,
cats in the house.
for
No,
me,
I can't.
Toby has like a really like timid, like adorable personality, and I know it's like a hit or miss whether his puppies will have that, but I just want to try. I want like a little mini clone of him because he literally has
Well,
the
why don't you
sweetest
just clone
disposition.
him?
I know I could clone him. I could
It's only
totally
like
clone him.
$10,000. Just save his DNA. Just like save some mucus and some
True.
like hair. And if he ever dies unexpectedly, you can just get him cloned. But it's still not guaranteed that they're going to have the same personality because
Aw.
it's like nature versus nurture. Like, did you have him from the moment he popped out of the pussy?
No, unfortunately.
So
So,
you
yeah,
can't
he was actually
recreate the
completely.
environment.
Carlos, listen, he was a completely depressed, different dog when we got him. Like, he was so sad. I don't know what happened to him. He was just super sad, super depressed, and we literally had to, like, coax him out of it. And now he's, like, the sweetest, most gentle. Doesn't hurt a fly. He's so well
Aww.
mannered. I love my baby doll. I love him. I
That's
need to clone him.
my Chihuahua was kind of like that. He was in a puppy mill for 6 months, and then
Aww.
by the time we got him, I guess the puppy mill had linoleum floor or like some type of tile or something where the
Mhm.
dogs couldn't get good grip. So and they would beat them and kick them, and
Aww.
they couldn't run away. Like when you see a dog on like
Yeah.
linoleum try to run and they can't get their grip. So for the first, until Oliver was like 2, he wouldn't walk on reflective surfaces.
Oh
So if it
wow.
wasn't like the ground, concrete, or carpet, if it was any type of linoleum or marble or tile, like any type of reflective surface, he would just stop and he
Oh.
refused to walk. Like he refused. So it took a couple months of us just working with him and just
Really
being like,
quick.
"It's okay, buddy." Yeah, go ahead.
Really quick. Funny story though. Not funny actually. It's kind of sad. So
Aren't they all funny but sad?
so I got Toby when he was 6 months. No, he's 5 months. When I went to the pet store, he was he was in like a little like pit with a bunch of other dogs that were his size. The rest of them were like super happy and jumping up and trying to get bought. And then this little guy is just sitting there.
You said trying to get bought.
Yeah, like this little guy is just sitting there, and I'm like, I asked him how much he was, and he said $400, and I'm like, what? Only $400? I'm just thinking to myself, and I was like, okay. And then it was between him, who was $400, and then another fresh like Morkie that was like I think $9.99, and I had the money. I was ready to spend like at least up to like 1,500. So I was planning on that, but something about Toby, it's just I felt bad for him because he wasn't like interacting. So I picked him up and he was like fucking shaking, right? And well,
Hmm.
before that, flashback though, before I picked him up, I asked him the price, and then I said, um, I looked at some other puppies, and I go back and I asked the guy, I said, "Hey, can I? What's the deal with him?" I was like, is he ready to go?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, that guy, yeah, he's been here a while." So I remember I told my dad that story, and my dad's like, "Wait, and you bought him?" He's like, "If somebody said, 'Oh, that guy, yeah, he's been here a while,' he's like, I would have done a beeline for the front door, not take him home." But I took him home because I felt so bad. And I'm glad I did because he's a completely different puppy now. Like completely. Like he just you would think he's like a year old. He's so vibrant and happy and just the cutest thing ever. But I always tell people that story, the "Oh, that guy,
Ever.
he's been here a while" story. It just made it I was dying laughing when he said that. I was like, I can't. But I'm glad I did. It was the best $400 I've ever spent, and I swear to
That's
God,
a lot.
it'll be my
That's
best
a lot. But
purchase
you know
ever.
what? The most expensive dog I bought was a schnauzer, a miniature
Mhm.
schnauzer. I didn't buy it. When I was 17, I had a person I was dating buy it for me. And it was like $2,500 dog. And that dog was the fucking worst. I hated that little nigga.
What?
He was the worst. But
Oh
no,
my
I'm gonna end with
god.
one funny little anecdote of how when I got Oliver. So I'm not as fancy as Coco. I don't buy my dogs from pet stores.
Yeah,
Uh,
I know. I shouldn't either. But this one, this one had my soul. I had to buy him.
Oh, so no, I went. You guys know when you go to the pound. Well,
Mhm.
actually, I'm worse than a pet store. I bought my last dog from a breeder, so that's worse than a pet
Oh,
store.
look at you.
Um, but when I got Oliver, we got him. We adopted him, and we went. And there was two. There was one called Diesel, which was his. It was a Chihuahua Pug mix, and he looked just like Oliver, but they had their colors alternated. So Diesel was black and brown, and
Mhm.
Oliver is like tan and brown. And their personalities were totally different. Like Oliver was kind of like Toby. Like he wasn't when we came. All the dogs were trying to get adopted, and he was
Mhm.
just kind of like sitting there on his little bed, like looking at you. He was like, "Okay, if you adopt me,
Oh,
cool. If you don't." But Diesel was
it's
like, "Look at me,
sad,
look at me." Yeah, like Diesel was like, "Oh, I'm the shit." I like literally like when I
right?
looked at this dog, the way he was prancing was like, "I'm the shit. You should
Yep.
choose me, right?" So we did the little visitation, and I ended up putting a deposit on both of them because I didn't know which one I
Right.
was going to do. And with a deposit, you have to like you have 3 days. At the end of the 3 days, they'll allow other people to start looking at the dog. So
Got it.
that at the fourth day, so my deposit was already up, but they still had my money. I went in. I was like, oh, sorry, I'm one day late on my deposits, but I'm ready to choose a dog. I was like, okay. And I go get Oliver because I chose Oliver. I was like, I don't want Diesel because I'm a confident asshole. I don't
Yep.
need a dog that's a confident asshole
It's just
too.
not gonna work
It's not gonna
out.
work. So let me just get this calm, peaceful, nice dog who's super cute. And there was this little white girl holding Oliver, and like she was
There's
there with her
always a little
family,
white
and you
girl
could.
holding the dog you trying to buy. Always. They do that shit on
Oh,
purpose.
She was just like, "Mommy, this is the dog I want," and I was like, "Oh, that's." And I literally, they were on in their own little visitation section. I literally walked over. I was like, "Excuse me, little girl, but he's already taken it." And I just
Oh
took Oliver.
shit. I'm done.
I took Oliver and walked to the front. I was like, we'd like to cash out.
Oh, baby. That's hilarious,
But then
actually.
I ended up I think because they were right behind us, the dad thought it was funny. I was like, oh, but you know what? You probably don't even want him because he's not that happy. But there's this other guy, Diesel. So she ended up adopting Diesel.
Oh, that's good. Diesel got
And
a
we got
home.
Oliver. Diesel got a home too. But no, I just thought it was funny because I hate that whenever I go to adopt an animal, someone else always either adopts the animal right before me or tries to. So I was like,
Oh.
from now
I
on, I'm just
commend
going
you
to
for
take it.
adopting though. I would have adopted, but like I don't know, something about me just was like I think I lived like 10 minutes
That
away from the
shit's
pet
too
store.
expensive. It was still $500 for a damn dog. I was
What?
like, damn, you can get this dog cheaper on Craigslist. Like I have, but
Right? Oh.
but it's just like, well, you're supporting your local like fucking shelter for
Yeah.
one, and then they do put in a lot of work as far as like making sure they're healthy and they're up to date on their shots and they're not sick. Well, and then a lot of things is some dogs come in because you know me, I'm not gonna just spend $500. I was like, where's this money
Exactly.
going? Where's it going? And they're like, well, your dog is super healthy, so he didn't need problems. But sometimes we get dogs with cancer or have growths
Oh.
on their nails or have tumors, and they all should have to be able to get the same treatment. So the dogs who need
Oh,
it
I love
more,
it.
we spend more money on that. And then the dogs that are good, like those are the dogs that get adopted. So that's where that money goes for those ill dogs. And then hopefully
Gotcha.
those dogs can be good enough to get adopted so they don't have to be
Aw,
euthanized.
I love it.
Yeah, so I'm glad that we ended this Real Shit
Positive,
Fridays on a positive note. We rarely do that on a
right?
cute little as I'm staring at my little Chihuahua. He's
That's
my
what I'm
ride or
saying. I was about
die.
to say, Carlos. I was like, my little schnookums just woke up and he's all stretching and looking cute. I was like, it's gonna be a good day.
Literally, like I know I'm an animal. My dog is sleeping on my couch, and I'm looking, and I have a hand painted uh portrait of him right next to
Oh,
her.
I love
And it's so
it.
fucking cute. Oh yeah, I'm that person. Like every year we
I
get
am too.
portraits, and
Oh,
and they're and like they're hand painted. Like Grayson has one, Oliver has one, and I have like hand painted portraits of them growing up, and I
Toby,
hang them up
I
throughout
gotta
my
get you
house.
painted, buddy. Let me get you
I feel
painted.
like a painting is so much better. It looks so much more cuter than like a picture, especially if it's on your wall.
Oh,
Because it's
Toby,
just
by the
like you
way,
really got your dog painted.
Toby takes the worst fucking pictures. He is the worst. Like his Instagram is so dry right now, but it's
Wait,
so
what's
hard
Toby's
to
Instagram?
photograph him.
I'll follow. Wait, I'll follow Toby's Instagram from Oliver's Instagram.
Ooh, I
Oh,
love
by the way,
it.
guys, selfless plug. If you guys want to see how cute our dogs are, you can follow my guys at Oliver Grayson. That's Oliver. Grayson is Greyson, and that's on Instagram. What's Toby's Instagram?
Yo, I'm about to check that shit out because I don't even follow him like that. Hold on one second.
Ah!
Um,
Oh no, you don't. No, you don't.
hold
Man,
on.
I
Wait.
post
Okay, I got it.
my
It's
dogs post, guys,
Toby.
every 2 to 3 weeks. My dogs will post something.
See Toby. We gotta work on it. We're working on his angles right now. It's Toby. Uh, oh wait, Tobias, aka Toby with an I
Hi,
underscore.
to Tobius, aka
Tobias
AS.
AKA Tobi Tobias aka Toby
Oh, look, he is cute. Wait, a minute. No, that's not you. Tobias. Wait, no, that's not you.
Tobias
Uh huh. Uh huh.
aka
Uh huh.
Tobi underscore. I'm
Underscore.
follow you right now.
Oh, Tobias Blue. There we go.
There we go.
Oh, Tobias is
We
cute. Yeah,
working
you
on
need to
on
post.
his angles.
You need to look, Coco. Look at my babies. My babies. They working these angles. They
I know.
work
I'm jealous. We be stalking your
the.
Instagrams. Like we be stalking them. We were working on our angles.
Oh, well, you have a new follower, guys. Definitely go
Yay.
follow Tobias Blue. He's super cute. Is that a taco or a hot dog?
Yes, he was a
Oh, he was a
taco. That's my
taco. Oh,
baby.
that is so cute.
He's
Well,
shaped now. He looking fine. So I'm gonna take some pictures and pop him up there.
she said he looking fine. Alrighty, guys. Well, thank you for being real with us this Friday. We talked about some credit. We talked about lending money, dogs, about police and like how much should we trust them on, and it's okay to trust, but it's also okay to distrust. It's just called being human. And I want to thank Coco for being my awesome ass co-host per usual. I feel like this week was way better, even though we both had
Yes.
shitty weeks. I feel
Yes,
like
you
the
were
energy's
much
there.
better than normal. Because we love each other. We make each other happy. So that's what
We do, we
matters.
do. Make sure you guys. I think that Coco. I don't know if you made the announcement yet, but I think Savage Media Radio is now on
On
iTunes, and you guys can
iTunes.
leave a 5-star review. So I'm gonna be giving shout outs on my personal Instagram and on Savage Media Radio's Instagram for like the first 5 people that leave a 5-star review and a comment on Savage Media Radio's.
And hey, we have
Oh,
a
go ahead, Ed.
contest. We're choosing
Yes,
two
the contest.
people to win $50. The 2 people of whoever reviews us 5 stars on iTunes will get $50. We choose the winner at random, so you got to be in it
Oh.
to win it. So
So
hurry
it
up.
looks like, well, it looks like it's a win-win. So if
There we go.
you do the 5-star, you either get a shout out and your name will go into the drawing for $50. So you're
There
gonna
you
get a
go.
win-win. That's all I got, Coco. You got anything else?
Nope, I am good. I am Audi 5000. I am going to go get my husband. You go spend time with yours, and you have a wonderful rest of your day, Carlos.
You too, Coco. I'll talk to you later.
All right, guys, stay
Bye.
savage.